Muy buenas noches to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well and as always enjoying family. And once again, Tony, gracias for allowing me to get on your platform. Stories written by a current prisoner to share my stories. And before I start, please allow me to thank everyone for you guys' prayers as always and for every word you express positive towards me. I appreciate you. Gracias. Now, for the story, I'm just gonna get into a little per se dilemma that happened. As I have stated in back videos, you know, my stay there was mainly clecha. I was receiving clecha because I was being asked to, in so many words, come to new territory and fall in line with the raza that was already out here established. And basically see what I could assist with. Because when it came to, at least moving weight or feria, like I stated before, never was a user, I never used dope the whole time I was in the system, here and there I would smoke a leño or, just to relax. But other than that, I wasn't one to drink. I try to stay away from all that brought, negative attention towards you. And and plus, throughout the years, I've seen what that type of what drugs and alcohol did to gente inside, and it was just something that I just stayed away from it. So, I was looked at like, I could be trusted when it came like, feria and dope. So, anyways, needless to say, the Pilisana, he was giving me the ropes, who was out here and who was like to check in the minute I came down here. Or, we were touching base with those we needed to touch base to and informing them of my eventually hitting down here. We didn't know when it was going to happen at this point, but we knew it was eventually going to happen. So, but like I've told in numerous stories behind, that you know these guys, even though they might not be tecatos, dolphins, whatever you want to call them, but every single one of them, I could tell you, they're greedy. They do things out of pocket to benefit them, and they don't really care, who they take with them in the midst of everything. So what had happened was, there was a señor that had been made not too long ago. I believe it was Batcher from Fontana. I know he's from Fontana, and he had just barely got there where we were at, but he was one of those that mainly he came around and said Q, paid his respect, and he went about his business. He's just one of those cats that basically, he went from camarada to señor real fast, and it just got to his head, that whatever he did or he was doing, was doing it right. The way things used to pick up speed on him, and he was getting blessed, time and time again. So he opted to stay by himself, and just push his beliefs and his thing. And then once he picked up that power, he picked up a couple camaradas and a couple sureños and were wiggling with him. So he started doing his thing. But one thing that we did have forbidden was to mess with the Texas Ranfla. Anything that had to do with Texas. For the fact that they were the strongest enemies per se wherever we land in the in the federal system, as I was told, and so to avoid problems, it was like, don't mess with them, don't do transactions with them, just avoid them. But when you have an individual that thinks he's above the power, he's above the program, and he was doing it, behind the scenes, just messing with them in the sense that he felt it was more beneficial for him to start doing he start doing things with them in the aspect of have their people bring it in and him getting it from them, or even you know just things that he wasn't supposed to, but again, those individuals, they think they're above the program. It's real hard to run across one that maintains in those guidelines, in those lines that he's not supposed to cross. But how it hit the fan was basically, a tango. He ended up blasting him, and basically they got removed off the yard. But when it all came out, it was exactly like that. He was homeboy getting blasted, and it came from a tango, and we didn't know where it had come from or what it was behind, and so same regla falls in the federal system as a state. You're not to put hands on a señor or a camarada. So I remember we went out to yard, and the first thing it was, the pilis went out there, and they had conversations with them, and supposedly everything was smooth, it was cool, and then it was pilis and camaradas. We went out and we did a little junta, and it was the okie doke. We were gonna have them vatos a day or two think that everything was still firmes, and then we were gonna rush them. And now, mind you, not to sound like I'm weak or anything, but back in California, it's like everywhere we hit, it's like we outnumber mostly everyone, of course, except for the brothers, But most of the time, it was either equal or just about equal. It was never like in this situation, where we were completely outnumbered. So we wanted the the surprise effect, surprise them and hit them hard before they even notice what was going to be coming towards them. So in this junta, we established how we were going to go about it. Every camarada was going to go ahead and get a little crew of 5, and we're going to just wing it. Now, at all times, Pilis always minimize camaradas or sureños, and so when the day did that was going to happen, all the señores were going to stay in. They're going to stay locked in their cells, and so they weren't gonna be involved. Basically, we're gonna shield them in that aspect, because we can't be in a war zone, and at the same time, being worried about protecting a señor. It's just like go time and let's go. So everything to me, it was just weak, and I'm sorry I say it like that, but I looked at it like it was a card they were using not to get involved, and I understood it when it came to señores like Sana, maybe even Big Joe, but there were some young ones, that could actually go out there and basically show us with example, how to be a soldado, not behind a cell, But needless to say, I wasn't in the position to even question nothing like this. I was a camarada and I was to follow suit. So, at this time I had a perrito, you could say, that was a real cool camarada. He had worked his way up the ranks, and he went from a sureño to a camarada because he had done a couple missions for a couple pilis, back in Corcoran Shoe and LA County. And but there was a lot of camaradas that looked at him different. You could say that, because he was Salvatrucha, he was from MS. He was from the clique out there in North Hills. But to me, he was a little soldier. He was a good dude. And me and Travieso, we actually hit it off pretty cool, pretty freedmen. We tried to do everything the way we were supposed to, and we didn't. Neither one of us used. We basically were about the gente. We seen when a camarada he was struggling in the sense of money, canteen, or extend our hand and get up, camarada. Come on, spread your hustle. We're in a situation where you could hustle. There's a lot of different ways of hustling out here. And basically, we try to. I'm not gonna say be like a Robin Hood to camaradas, because that'd be foolish of me to say. And dumb. But we're basically there to try to uplift our gente. Like I stated, we weren't very deep. There was 20, maybe 25 of us at the most. And I'm just talking about sureños and camaradas. And when you looked at the Texas card, man, I don't know, they were probably about 40, 50 of them, but they had alliances, and so we knew it wasn't going to go well. We had to hit them and just make sure we hit them right, that count, because it was going to come our way, but me and the ones that we were going to do punta, was the camaradas, we're going to do punta, and it was going to be me, Travieso, also from Michigan, no, perdón, Chino from Michigan, and also from West LA. I can't really remember what clique he was from, but I believe he was from White Fence in West LA. But anyways, we were supposed to do punta, and you could say I kind of got in a little bit of pedos, or I had to see. Sana had plans for me, as other camaradas to get out soon, so he prevented, or he didn't want me to pick up a fierro. He basically said, just go, manos libres, sin nada, no agarres filero, don't pick up anything, just go ahead and just back the camaradas play, and but I don't need you to pick up any more time, And I didn't listen, and not to minimize the señor or anything, it was just something that I consider really stupid of myself to do punta without anything to do punta with, especially when we were a number. So I went out there with a fierro, and I thank God, that when everything was said and done, I didn't get caught with it. But please allow me to explain a little bit how it went down, and basically, what we didn't know, that there was a per se camarada that he had gotten real cool with a tango plus or tango orejon. I don't know, I still don't know the difference, to be sincere, but anyways, he was tango, and he basically told him all the 411 on how we were gonna go about it. So when we actually thinking that we're gonna do the surprise effect on them, it was the other way around. They had a surprise for us, which was they were waiting on us. So it was like kind of like like a two punta thing, we rushed in, and me Travieso, we rushed in through one side, and also in Chino through the other side, with a wave of camaradas behind us. And but it was like, we hit the first one, and it was like they were waiting for us. They opened up, and it was just boom, 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 and we hit the floor. So it became from us, trying to hit as many as we could fast to, get rid of this fucking. I'm so sorry for my language. Get rid of this piece before they take it from you and hit you with it. So we ended up flying this thing, and needless to say, we were getting our butt whooped. I don't know for how long. I remember all I was thinking. It took me back to Vacaville, when we got our butts whooped by the norteños. It's all I was thinking about. Like, damn fool, you hit the floor, you're done. You're done. They're gonna stomp you in. So your best bet is just stay on your feet. And I remember in the mix of everything, I seen Troubles. He hit the floor, and remember I rushed over there, and right when some fool was gonna hit him, I barely got there, and I clipped the guy, and took him off him. The minute I clipped him, they hit me with something. I don't know with what, but all I remember is just I felt something hit me on the side of my head, and I was gone. Out of the 20, 25, I don't know how many there was about on us, because I remember the paperwork. Overall, there was, I believe, 170 involved in that riot, because, the tangos got supported by the Latin Kings and some Chicago gangs. It just became a big old thing, I guess. A lot of them were tired of the Cali Ranfla basically not wanting to. Basically, they looked at us like big old set trippers, which we weren't. We were just used to staying to our own. But anyways, all of us, we every single one got booked that day. Me, I didn't only get booked, but I got knocked out cold. Troubles, man. I don't know what he got stabbed with, but it basically they hit him like in the forearm, and went through his whole arm, and I don't know what type of muscle, it basically ripped or something, but it tore up his whole left arm, and from this it picked up. It went all bad because there was a lot more of them that stayed behind. Like I mentioned, there was other Ramflas that were backing them up, basically because they felt we had the bundle and we didn't want to share, or we're being scandalous with it. I don't know their reasons. It was their reasons, but some of them stayed behind, which they came out and they seen the señores stay behind just with one camarada each, and they tried to rush the señores, but it didn't work. It didn't work as so. The señores had las abejas that were backing them up. So, but it just became a big old bad thing. I remember for the first time in my paperwork, it said like we were the victims, and we were supposed to be the aggressors. And then from then on, we heard it kick off in a lot of different spots. I remember we were in the hole, if you want to call it the hole. To me, it was nothing like California system. But we came back out to the yard, and the power had changed for the fact that most of the fools from Cali, since we were less, we came back to the yard, and a lot of them vatos, they got moved, you know. And I remember coming out, I wanted my run backs, to be sincere, you know. I was like, nah, I ain't nobody's victim, you know. But I remember Sana put a stop to it because he was going through a lot at this time, you know. It was like, you know, I don't know if you guys from Orange County remember when they hit one of his spots in La Jolla, where they found a lot of weapons and a lot of weight that was his, you know. And basically he still had that debt to cover down south, and they was trying to find a means to get it done, you know. Not in the sense that he was worried about them thinking he wasn't going to come through, because man, I don't gotta say he's been working with them for a long time, you know. But in the sense that he was worried about, you know, the power struggles that go on when they see one lose their grip like that, you know. A lot of new ones try to come in thinking the next man is weak, and you know they go after each other's throats. And so he was trying to put work back into the calles of La Habra and La Joya, all that area, you know, where he was heavy at. And so basically we worked out some avenues to the point where we were able to get a little bit out there. But then he was going through the backslash of the frijoles issue, you know, Mondo's issue that had occurred in the streets in the county jail. And you know, for the people that just see the surface, for example, the power struggle through the media or whatever, it's like it was like a clear win for Sana, you know. But it don't work like that, you know, because at the end of the day, he has to answer for all those things that were done against camaradas, you know, because there was a lot of shady stuff done from both sides, you know. You can't. There was a lot of calls that were wrong, but basically, the most one he was answering up for was for even though there was a not Chalice, Beto or Puppet from bowling. Um, Sana was doing it, you know, behind the scenes, like if he was a main member, like he had the that permission, you know, even though he had been warned not to be doing the shit he was. I'm so sorry for my language. The things he was doing. So Sana was dealing with that, you know. There was a lot of people that wanted answers, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, when they're politicking against each other, that's when that that one rule does come into effect, which is no carnal is above the program or above any other carnal, you know. There's a big difference when they're doing it and the power struggle in there, and they're above everybody. So he was a worried man, you know. He was a worried man now. But, you know, he's seen it through. Because if it would have been a different carnal, he would have checked in, or he would have gotten so worried, he would have done something stupid, or you know. Instead, he proved himself again, and he started wiggling, and he seen it through, you know. So I respected that from him. There was just difference between, you know, Billy's that did things the way they were supposed to, and then there's Billy's that to get rid of things they start politicking. For example, Tigre, you know, let's put Tigre, you know, that fool. He thought he was above the inmate, you know. He always everywhere he went, he minimized another carnal, and if he got backslash from it, then he started going to war against that carnal and made it a personal thing. It was easier than to face the music the correct way. If I don't know if you guys, if I'm making sense. But you know, I stayed there for a while, and we started doing phone calls. We started talking to a camarada. We started talking to a camarada down here, down in Ensenada, you know. And he was basically there with the Senor Evil's crew, and how it was gonna be when I got out, where I was supposed to go, who was gonna pick me up, and just small things like that. The things that you need to know before you hit. So I started working those things out, and there was a couple other melees that happened when I was here, but I really don't want to bore you guys with them. So I stayed there for maybe another couple months. Then they actually had me transferred to Florence, Arizona, and then from there I went back to Eloy. And in Eloy, I must have been I must have been there maybe 3 4 weeks. I went out to court, and that's when my lawyer told me, you know what, I'll get you out on bail because these cats they're trying to okey doke you. And I was like, okey doke me, and he goes, yeah, they're trying to okey doke you. They're trying to do a recall on so and so and so and so, and you're included in it. So they're trying to waste time by not releasing you. So I'm gonna get bail, and you have to punch. You can't stay here. Don't come back to a courtroom, because anyway, you know, it took like 3 weeks, and I went out to court. They gave me bail, and I remember I got bail right there in Hilo, Arizona, and the moment I got out, I got on a bus and headed for Nogales. Got out to Nogales, and I remember there was a paisa out there right before those callejones of Nogales, and me, you ever seen, like, man, how can I explain it? You ever gone somewhere or started something and you're completely lost? Completely lost. That's how I was, being in the system for so long, and just get thrown out to a place you have never seen, different culture per se. And I got out. I remember it was already late, and the paisa, he was from El DF, so he told me, like, hey, vente. And I told him, vente por acá. And he's like, no, you don't want to go down those callejones. I was like, damn, I didn't know nothing. So anyways, we got in a taxi, and I went to the bus station, and they were supposed to pick me up there. And I will continue with this. I just thought I shared this little riot. Oh, I forgot to get into, you know, a lot of people speak about, the sureños from MS, and there's some good camaradas. There's some really good camaradas, and it's just, I think it's another way that the organization, or the clique, or the pilis, or whatever, they have a foot over somebody's throat, because there's a lot of rioters. I heard that Travieso, after this, maybe 3 4 months, five, I don't know how many, around there. It wasn't too long though that he spoke back to Big Joe, and he got murked. And I think it's dumb when there's a writer, that's a camarada and has proven himself, that can't even ask a simple question without them tossing him aside. And if they don't stop and they maintain, and you know cut their jugular, it shouldn't work like that. But then again, it's everything works like that because camaradas allow it, because sureños allow it. You know, because a lot of people talk about Southside or Sureño, camarada, señor, but to get to a situation where you consider a camarada, man, there's a lot that goes in there too, a lot more than to become a señor. I'll tell you that much. And I think it's real sad because I personally rubbed tables with this camarada, and he was a He was a good camarada, always worrying about the next man and how he was missing this to correct them. And he was never out to spill blood. He was out to teach, give strength. But I just thought I'd share this with you guys. And with this, I'm gonna let you guys rest. I'll continue on from the bus station in Ensenada and how it went from going 80 miles an hour to going 400 miles an hour. That's been the biggest mistake of my life. Was thinking that was gonna be a lot easier in Mexico than going back to Cali. If I would have known, I would have been like, man, I'm going back to Cali, and if I get busted again, I'd rather go do some more time. But I will get into that. I just thought I'd come in and you know check in with you guys and just send my saludos, mis respetos, and I hope everybody always stays blessed, and please always stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.